Well, hello and welcome to the next in our series of fireside chats, and I'm delighted to be joined today by the very Reverend Peter Bickley. Peter is the Dean of St Mary's Roman Catholic Cathedral here in Sale and a wonderful ecumenical colleague, and Peter was kind enough to preach at the Eucharist we've just recorded for this Sunday, and I commend that to you if you've not already seen it. Peter, welcome.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
And Peter has the ignominy of being the last person to play golf with me, and I think the only person to have played golf with me in over 3 years. And Peter, you were very gracious that day, as I recall, and we missed out on our annual game this year because of the dreaded COVID, didn't we?
We did. That was the excuse we used. We're just getting beaten too much by our Anglican brothers and sisters. We use this very convenient excuse.
Oh, it's all good fun.
Yes,
good fun.
It is.
Peter, thank you so much for your homily today. It was a very, very powerful story that you related about the gentleman you referred to as Brian, who was a student with you at school in Geelong. And that wonderful narrative of his kind of coming to be who he was.
Yes.
And how that you wove that into the Petrine confession beautifully. And it's so important, isn't it, that sense of being called into our deepest integrity. And I'm conscious of next week's readings in which God reveals God's self as, I will be who I will be, or I am who I am, in that wonderful theophany to Moses at the burning bush. That being as becoming and being who we are in our best and truest self.
And it's a wonderful opportunity when people, such as the Christian brother, for example, his response to Brian was to see potential for the good whenever everyone saw bad. And in other words, he was affirming the divine that's within all of us through our baptism, and that was to be kept out and to be made fruitful. And in this instance, with a lot of love and patience and understanding and care, he changed not only Brian but also the atmosphere of those that were supposedly rich in the word and didn't quite yet know how to use it as gift for others. So it was a lovely story. I often reflect on it because there were times in our priestly ministry, dare I say, we may not have that patience or tolerance for that X, Y or Z who really puts the strain on us to be the Christ to them. So Brian's story is a valuable story. But I do love this gospel because I think Peter is challenged at the heart, and I think at the heart our Lord is that gift to us all.
Yes.
And it's in that light that I try to emulate that in my own priesthood, but also I see others living it in their lives.
Absolutely.
In their love of Christ.
And in that sense, it's almost as if somehow the question's turned around, isn't it? And it's almost like we can hear Jesus saying to us, but who do I say you are? As I call you into the fullness of your being and your personhood. It's a lovely kind of reciprocity almost in that in that relationship that you drew out so beautifully. So
Beautiful thing about Christ, I think, in that story is that he had no agenda other than to care for someone in need. In Peter's turn, and what happened? The fruitfulness of his ministry. And he would call you into that. And Brian, in a similar manner, was called to a different life.
Yes.
And he was terrific in that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very touching. You seemed completely at home in a digital medium, a pre-recorded service, Peter. So obviously, like us, you've had a little bit of experience of this necessity recently. Over the last few weeks and months as we've had these conversations, we've heard a bit about how COVID has impacted on different people's ministry contexts and settings and what they've done to respond to that creatively and caring for their people. Tell us a little bit about how the Roman Catholic Diocese has responded to the COVID challenge.
It's been very, very careful, of course, to be guided by the government rules as they come, the restrictions that are so ever-changing and ever-demanding on how we exist as church, as people doing the job that we value very much, especially in our schools.
Yes.
And the reality of homeschooling hitting us again.
Yes.
The generosity of people to respond, to do their very best to ease the fears of both parents and children is an edifice to me. It's edifying because of that generosity. They work long hours, late into the night to ensure that their preparation for lessons and so forth are well and truly underway. The priests among us, we've become more diligent in ringing each other and seeing to each other's needs, and we've been hearing stories among us of those that have become very lonely, and they can't move out and they can't do what they did so freely before.
Yes.
And the regret of that, especially in the smaller parishes where there's just the one person.
Yes.
And in some cases, some have gone into counselling or be counselled. So we're very caring for them and very alert to that. Among the priests, now we meet very often on the Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new type of communication.
Yeah, it is.
And scary at first, but once you relax to it,
yes,
it becomes the norm. And last night we did that with our college council here at St Pat's. And everyone was comfortable with that, although you waited for the sound to come through at the right time, or the delays that happened within that. But they understood that very well.
Yeah.
The effort for priests has been to see which other ways they can reach. So a lot of us are doing phone calling of our elderly in particular, and doing that on a daily basis, and also got teams now that pick that up within the parish members, and the appreciation for that is excellent, and it's a new way of communication. It's amazing how people are so strong in what they communicate from home as against what they communicate in the street.
Yes.
And people learning different ways of where the meaning of you're king in your own household, what that actually means.
Yeah. Do you think it's actually, in that sense, raised up more lay ministry in our parishes?
It has.
Yeah.
And when people know, when they're experiencing that they can do it, they want to do it then.
Yeah.
Whereas most of our roles in the past has been to convince them that they're the right one.
Yes.
But now in the experience of it, they find out that they are the right one.
Yeah.
And it's good that awareness the Spirit is bringing that out in this case. So it's a graced time, but it's also a struggling time.
Yeah.
You know, how we get around it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Other ways in which we outreach is certainly the sending of the bulletin, the parish bulletin. It goes through the school medium and through the secondary school medium to every family. And people are appreciating that they've got the Word of God sent to them via the parish bulletin. And they're invited, of course, to tune in to the Sunday service. And many do. But there's a lot of shopping around happening.
That's right.
They're going all over the countryside
yeah.
internationally. But it's good. The thing is, they're searching, and whoever fits them for that day is the right one to hear.
Yeah. Newfound freedom to explore, I guess. And
yes, and they're getting confident in the IT and the technicalities of it all. So,
and I think we need not to fear that,
no,
do we?
Exactly.
To really celebrate that and encourage it.
Yes.
Exploration.
Yes, I think you're so right there. Because there's grace builds on grace, and there's grace where the word is delivered with the love of the Lord in the heart. So be it, that person will be touched at that time, and that's what it's meant to do. But so it opens up an openness in us because we're territorial.
Yeah.
We can be very territorial.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that there's a new openness happening.
Yeah. And in that spirit, Peter, it was so important to us, to invite you to participate today, and we were delighted when you so graciously accepted, because we do enjoy a wonderful ecumenical spirit, I think, in Gippsland, and here in Sale we've got a lovely network around the churches and the clergy and lay leaders, and that's celebrated, I think, in different ways, liturgically and in fellowship and other ways. And of course we've enjoyed, particularly over the last couple of years, the seasonal conversations that you've been involved in with Bishop Pat up at the Abbey. So there are all sorts of ways that we can, give expression to our visible unity in Christ. What for you are some of the joys of that ecumenical partnership, and where do you think it might lead us in these times?
I believe, with going back to the prayer for the fire victims and the drought, the coming together in those communal prayers in which we shared was a real encouragement to people to feel comfortable in their prayer with and for each other, and it showed the Spirit was very much in the heart of those assemblies, those gatherings. I've been working in this field of ecumenical prayer and ecumenical life. I'm 46 years a priest now, and I'd say 30 of those years I've been on that commission in the Diocese of Sale, and gone to many of the church council meetings in Melbourne and the like, and every time I've been more than inspired but very impressed with the ingenuity in the engine and the enthusiasm of just being together. I can't help but appreciate that in the long term or the short term, there will be something will come together over that will be uniting for us all. How that will happen, we're still praying for that to reveal itself. But we're praying for it to happen.
It has to, doesn't it? Really, in terms of our kind of capacity to thrive, not just to survive, but to thrive.
Yes, exactly.
In our context.
Exactly. I think it gives. I've always said it's a scandal that we're separate. We're separated. It's a scandal. And those of us that love the fact that Jesus calls us all together in His name would do their utmost to ensure that we can come together in some manner or form. Respect each other's Christian traditions. There's no way that we're better than any other one, but it's the idea is that we can pray together and pray well together and come together. And I think one of the areas that really is the hallmark of that is the walk of the cross on Good Friday. When we come across the road here, and you're very kind and graciously host us in the little refreshments that follow. But the fact is that we sit there around there holding hands and singing our prayer of praise and gratitude to God. It'll happen. It'll happen. But we can't see when it'll happen, but it'll happen, I'm sure. We've got a Pope that's all the time looking for that. You're familiar with that Ut Unum Sint document?
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful. It's written many years ago now. And I can recall the excitement in one of our gatherings in Brisbane when we came together with all the churches, and there was some revelations happening about the closeness that's happening between the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church and the Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church and so on. Really gave an air of excitement. So there are many people that have lost that enthusiasm and work to see that achieved. Looking forward to that.
Thank you. And we're also looking forward to meeting your bishop-elect, Monsignor Greg Bennett, who it's a wonderful appointment and a lot of excitement for your colleagues, you and your colleagues, and I think Bishop-elect Greg is to be installed and episcopally ordained in October. Is that right, Peter?
The date we have. I need to confirm it, pretty accurate, October the 20th. It's a Tuesday. So, because he's a big problem with all the restrictions, how many can he have? He's hoping that his mother can come. So there's still those restrictions that are very much real in this whole picture. And in fact, he will be on their property today. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we've got a Zoom meeting on Friday to start the preparations for that ceremony. The difficulty is he's not able to get perhaps Archbishop Tack, but we're hoping that he might be able to come. The lockdowns and the curfews and the self-isolating, all those sorts of things are problems.
Greg's been gracious enough to correspond a little with me over recent weeks, and he seems a very personable, person and very, very gracious. Tell us a little bit about, you know him a little, I gather, Peter. So Tell us a little bit about.
I don't know a lot about him except when when he was the Vicar General for the Archdiocese. He was Vicar General for about 8 years, and with the various meetings that came across diocese, he would meeting mainly over the phone and things like that. Other people went through with him in the seminary. He's 57.
Very young.
Very young. 57. And he was able to say, when he was talking to us on St. John Vianney Day, that once he was asked, he was immediately at peace to say yes. That's a lovely grace.
It is, isn't it?
Immediately at peace, he said. And then he spoke to us of his own journey in terms of his own prison. Then he said in his time as Vicar General, he came across an illness, and that illness was a bit of cancer. And so he retired from that position to get himself right. And that he's been right for over 12 months now. Fantastic. And then he had this unexpected call to come to Sale as an ex-bishop. So I think God works in mysterious and beautiful ways, because he was only appointed parish priest at Brunswick in March of this year.
Yeah.
And of course, only a few months later he's been asked to come here.
Yeah.
So we're delighted that he's wanting to come
Yes.
and is ready to come in himself. And now the preparations are underway for that. My thinking is that he's a very personable, affable, approachable friend of the people.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I remember going to Alwyn some years ago to speak at a funeral there, and he was the parish priest there, and he welcomed me so graciously and was so encouraging for the words that I'd said, and he was so welcoming. It was just lovely to feel that that's in his nature.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
He's
a graceful friend immediately, I think.
They're wonderful charisms for that ministry. And please, when you see him later today, please do assure Greg of our prayers from the Anglican Diocese of Gippsland, and also next time you're speaking to Bishop Pat, and we miss, and I loved working with, please do pass on our best wishes to him in his new role in South Australia.
He kept saying to me what a wonderful day that was in Raymond Island. That last time we were together.
It was, wasn't it?
And it was. And he kept saying that. He said, it was well done, it was terrific.
Yeah.
I think it's a emotion that will stay with him over there now.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that he will enter into that sort of opportunity in his diocese there.
Yeah, and hopefully we can continue and build on that tradition and that partnership, that sense of cooperation here too, and you're part of a little working group that's furthering some of those ideas, which is fantastic.
Yeah. But your encouragement in that has been also important to us, and we're lucky on that committee. They're ecumenical in themselves. Their family situations are ecumenical. Their whole life and their prayer is ecumenical. It really builds and strengthens that momentum for that day.
Yeah.
But the lovely reality of that day was that we had people prepared to come from across Gippsland, or whatever distance.
Yeah, exactly.
It
was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we were lucky to be able to do it.
Yes.
The time of year it was, just before the restrictions came in.
Yeah. Haven't you got a genuine Robert?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
amazing
right.
man.
Yeah, too right.
Amazing man. So to get back to Greg, my feeling is that he will be a grace to us. And I think, like for Pat, I'm a bit worried because he said the same as Pat. He said, I'll be here for 19 years. Of course, he's only here for 5 years. So we're hopeful that he can reach that 19th year mark.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, we certainly look forward to meeting him and welcoming him ecumenically and working alongside him. And Peter, just by your ministry to us today and your presence here, you've really helped to underscore and build on that lovely ecumenical spirit you've been reflecting on with us, and we're so grateful to you. You're always very generous in coming to the Cathedral here at St Paul's, and we love going to St Mary's. It's such a beautiful space, and we always get such a wonderful welcome there. So thank you for all of that and more, and every blessing as you continue to navigate your way through this difficult period with your team. And we will get that next game of golf in again before another 2 years, I'm sure.
And I promise I won't kick any balls from the tree.
Don't give our secrets away. Blessings to you, Peter. Thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you, Richard. Much appreciated. Thanks so much.